I think this is going to be controversial.
All right, folks, welcome back to another video. I have my buddy Jeff here sitting down for the very first Q&A ever. We are going to have my wife Melissa asking the questions, so let's get started with number one.
Let's go.
What do you guys like to do when you're not overlanding?
I like, and Christina and I both, things that involve wind in our face. That's like a common thread of all the things we love. Wind in your face. So riding motorcycles, we sail, or we sailed. We haven't sailed in a little bit, but sailing was another thing we were into. It's just like being outdoors. Just I'm a big car nerd, you know, going to car meets. I like drives. I guess I'm just obsessed with like everything that moves, really. So like,
hey, nothing wrong with that.
I just need to get my pilot's license and round it all out.
Right, yeah, just take to the skies now.
But yeah, you know, a lot of that, but a lot of just travel in general and being outdoors and just collecting experiences.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that. I would say for Melissa and I, we're huge nerds. We like simple stuff, going to the movies. Similar to Jeff, we love just being outside, whether that's overlanding or just taking day trips somewhere. We love the coast, love being on the beach, just getting out there. I mean, same as you, man. So yeah. That's what we enjoy doing when we are not sitting in front of a camera.
So off camera, there's already a disagreement happening after the first question.
I hope you were seeing my face. He said
turns
movies.
Turns out Victor's actually never seen a movie in his life.
I don't even know what a movie is.
And Melissa's never seen Indiana Jones trilogy, and they're talking about how they love movies. So yeah. I don't know how much I trust this guy.
I didn't say this was going to be an honest Q&A.
You
was
get
like,
nervous and just start
movies?
making shit up.
Yeah.
Jeff, this may be for you. What is your favorite place to camp in Washington State? And any thoughts of another camping rig for the channel? And I think that's kind of maybe for the both of you.
I just love being up in the Cascades. And it doesn't necessarily matter where in the Cascades it is. I think it particularly like along the eastern slope of the Cascades where there's a little bit less tree cover, so things are a little bit more wide open. I love that. And you get up there in the summertime and there's wildflowers. It's just beautiful. The mountains are definitely my happy place. You know, I think some people love to camp like next to water. Some people love to camp up on top of ridges and mountains, and I'm definitely a camp on top of ridges and mountains kind of guy. I love the view. I'll deal with the wind. And if I had to pick a particular spot in the Cascades, I would say probably the North Cascades are probably the most beautiful spot. I mean, people call it like the Alps of Washington for a reason, but it's gorgeous. Up Hart's Pass, which is the highest road you can drive in Washington State. It's if you haven't been up there, super cool spot. Beautiful at the top. There's like an old fire lookout up there. Highly recommend.
Add it to the list.
So, yeah. Does a whole mountain range count? I feel like that's a little bit of a cop-out. I like camping
state?
in the mountains.
Right.
Okay.
You're really helping people out here,
really.
Where there's trees?
This is good. This is good.
Where's your favorite place in Washington?
This is good advice here.
This is great.
How about
you?
Or even in Oregon. Let's open it up to Washington, Oregon.
Well, Washington and Oregon, you know, I've only been in Washington a couple times. I think this is our third time. The first time was right near Mount St. Helens, and it was just gorgeous. So many places I'd want to get to, but it sounds like that fire lookout might be the next on my list.
Yeah, you gotta get up there for sure.
And what was the other part of that? Camping rig for the future? So for us, as of right now, no. We kind of go back and forth on whether or not we want to switch out the trailer. We've had a couple discussions on, do we add a rooftop tent to the Bronco for kind of quicker trips instead of, you know, doing the whole hoopla with the trailer. But as of right now, nothing official.
Yeah, it's the same for Christina and I. We started out with our Lexus LX 470, basically a Land Cruiser. That's what everybody who has a Lexus LX 470 says. It's basically a Land Cruiser. We just want to call it a Land Cruiser. So we started out with our fake Land Cruiser, and we camped out of that for the first, like, I don't know, probably for like 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Ground tent camping. In fact, we still have it. It's in Arizona, and we camp out of it in Arizona. But when we got the Tacoma, I mean, that's basically our version of like that's what we came to the conclusion after doing this for 5 years, that was maybe our ideal setup for the way we like to travel and how we like to do it. So honestly, we're just loving the Tacoma with the Alu cab. No real plans to do anything else. I think if I did, but at the same time, I'm always thinking, right?
Oh,
like
yeah,
you're still thinking, you're like, well, if I did do something, what would it be?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
And I think
if
the
money
only
were no object, how about that?
Right. I don't think it would be the best here in the Northwest, but for the Southwest, I think getting something like a AEV, like Ram Prospector with a 4-wheel camper setup, basically like what like Sean from the Story Till Now has now, that would be maybe like one step up from the Tacoma in terms of more comfort and all that stuff. But I don't think a full-size rig necessarily lends itself super well to the Pacific Northwest, but the Southwest would be awesome. So that would be like probably, if I had to pick something, it would probably be going up to a full-size with a 4-wheel camper or something like that.
Yeah. Just a little sidebar. Jeff and I were just talking about this earlier. That's another question that we both see a lot is, what is the best rig? And there really isn't one. The best rig for you is based on what you like to do when you go out and explore. There's drawbacks to the trailer. There's drawbacks to Jeff's setup. You just need to get out there and see what you enjoy, and that'll tell you what the best overlanding rig is.
Some wisdom right there. You're like a Buddha. Covered in hair.
That one was free.
All right, this is probably my favorite question. So someone commented and said that they got their wife some night vision goggles. And their question is do you have any other suggestions on how to see elusive animals?
I think the best answer, I have like a good answer and a bad answer. And the bad answer would just be, leave out your food scraps and your raw meat, leave them all out, and you'll attract some animals that way. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. But I think in my experience, the best advice I have is go to areas where they are. I know that seems kind of obvious, right? But when I think about the times where we've seen black bears, grizzly bears, bighorn sheep, they're in specific areas where those animals are just around. So whether it's northern British Columbia, the Canadian Rockies, there's a lot of bears, a lot of wildlife up there. In terms of like being in the mountains in the Pacific Northwest, I really haven't had a lot of encounters. Never seen a bear, never seen a mountain lion, never seen anything like that at camp. But if you go to certain places, you have a much higher likelihood. Honestly, I don't know about you, but I haven't really had a lot of wildlife encounters at camp.
We haven't had many either. We've had a couple deer come into camp. Which is cool. Like, they were, 10 feet outside of our window. We've heard things, just outside the throw of the light. We've had things wake us up, look out the window, but we don't see anything. Kind of like Jeff said, I think your best bet is to if you're really wanting to see, depending on what type of animal, see where they're, more prevalent and plan a trip for that. You're probably not going to see anything until you're all settled at camp and quiet. I would say, climb up into your tent, into your camper, and just sit and be quiet so that the wildlife kind of will come in, because trust me, they hear you coming from miles away. I would say that's my best piece of advice is to, like you said, go where they're more prevalent, and then be prepared to be still and, just watch. That's all I got for that.
Unless you're that one frog. And then
right, yeah. Or you just do a Q&A and the frogs come out because they want to know what's going on.
What is your best piece of advice for someone just getting into overlanding?
Well, I would say, I don't know about you, but I'm a really big researcher. I will get hooked on a topic and then watch every video there is on how to do it.
Same.
I don't remember exactly who I found first, and I started seeing, what everybody was calling overlanding, and I was like, I want to do that. I would say my best piece of advice, do some research and then just get out there, start simple and get out there and see exactly what you want to do. From my point of view, I think that's why a lot of people give up. I think they see some of these videos, they see our videos and our full setups that we've been building for years and years, and it's, I can't afford that, or I could never get to that level, and neither one of us started that way. Just get out there with the bare minimum amount of stuff, just a night or two, and don't go super far either. Don't plan a 50-mile drive into the backwoods for your first time. Start close to home, and maybe even go to just a primitive campground. You don't have to be out in some remote campsite. Go to a primitive campground that doesn't have services, and I think that's going to tell you right away of whether or not you can handle it to begin with, not having a bathroom, not having electricity, and then just fan out from there. Start getting out more. Like, okay, I like to do X activity, so to do that I need these items, and then you get those items. Don't just go hog wild and then turns out you only need half of the stuff you bought because you don't even like doing what these other things require. I would say that's my piece of advice. Start simple.
I agree 1,000%. Like, that's the thing that I have the most conviction around of anything when I talk to people, especially people who want to get started with this. Absolute biggest mistake that a person can make is buying all the stuff, buying all the gear, doing all the things, buying a new rig, outfitting it the way you see people on YouTube, like that. It frustrates me that people think they have to do that. And I honestly, I think that's part of the thing with the YouTubers. We're part of the problem.
Right.
Because we have these trucks that are all built out and they have all this nice stuff on it and everything. And you look at these builds, but it's not realistic for most people to, drop $100,000 plus on a vehicle to go out and camp. And even if you could, I don't think you should do it right away. And really, all this stuff that you see that we have, 99% of it is unnecessary. You can go out in a 2-wheel drive car and you can get out on forest roads and you can take a ground tent and you can camp and you can have a good time. And then if you want to get further out or do more things, like obviously you build from there. But my best piece of advice then would be to start simple, take what you have, get out, explore, do it within the bounds of what you have. The best thing to do then is when you leave that trip, when you're on the way home, start a list of all the things the gear that failed you, the things that didn't work well, the things that you wish you'd had that would have made your time better. And then when you get home, work on just getting those items and then go out again and do it again. And for Christina and I, that's what we did. And we were probably making lists for like 4 or 5 years, little things to add on and to get the things that actually would have made our camping trip, the style that we have, the way we like to do it, that would have made it better.
I agree with what you said. 90% of the stuff we have, it is not necessary. It is for comfort. And I think that's a good way to look at things. 10% of what you see on YouTube, necessary. The other 90%, it's all for comfort. So anyway, you get the point. We're going to move on to the next question.
How did you get started in overlanding?
This is a good story. I like this story. This is the honest truth. Is Christine and I were in Costco. We passed by the electronics section and there was a DJI Mini 2. And for whatever reason, Christine was like she's not the one to be like, oh, we should buy that thing.
Drone.
But she was like, we should buy that drone. And I was like, yeah, it's a great idea. Like I wasn't going to say no,
Right.
So we bought the drone and I was like, okay, well, I got to learn how to fly it. Then we went on a camping trip shortly after and I flew the drone for the first time, like out in a national forest. And I got home and I was like, oh, like those were some cool shots. Like that looks really good. But then I had this realization. I was like, what am I going to do with this drone? Like I bought this drone, but if I'm just going to fly it and take video, but then never do anything with it. So with that footage, I like kind of cobbled together a video, horrible video, but it is the first video on our channel. It's still live. It's the first video we ever did.
I have watched it.
It's terrible. But that was the genesis because I was like, I got to do something with this drone. And then what I realized is when I put that video together, I realized how much I enjoyed the process of piecing a video together. It's like putting a puzzle together, right? And that is honestly, to this day, is my favorite part of the whole process is editing and putting things together. But that's how I got started. So it was a simple impulse buy of a drone at a Costco. And then like, I got to do something with this. And then that spiraled into making a video. And then I was like, oh, I really like that. And then I made a few more videos. And then I just haven't stopped making videos.
I would say it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. My love for it started with seeing those videos on YouTube, just seeing that. And I've always loved camping. I just never did it. And seeing these videos on YouTube, I was like, man, I want to get out there and do that. And then that's what started me down the whole rabbit hole and kind of ties back into our last question about, what do you need to get started? We just started making lists and how do we want to travel and what do we want to do? And so, mine started with YouTube, not Costco.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite adventure destinations and why? I'm going to add my own 2 cents.
Okay.
Yeah, you start.
I really enjoyed probably our 2 biggest trips, which was at the Arizona BDR that we did earlier last year now, and also the Utah BDR.
The Southwest is hard to beat. It's really hard to beat. I love the Northwest. I love the forest. I love the mountains. I really do. And the Northwest will always be home to me. Yeah, if I had to answer the question, what's my favorite adventure destination? I know this is kind of a cop-out. It's like saying the mountains for what's your favorite camping spot in Washington, but it's like the desert Southwest. And southern Utah is probably the most beautiful place I've ever been. The most beautiful trail I've ever done is the White Rim Trail in Canyonlands National Park, which I can't wait to go back and do again. It is just like beauty on another scale. The Arizona desert, like the Sonoran Desert, is gorgeous. It is so green and so lush, and there's terrain and there's elevation and there's mountains. And the difference with the Southwest versus the Northwest is the Southwest, like you can see for miles.
Yeah.
In the Northwest, usually you're surrounded by trees, which is its own beauty, like camping in the forest. Like this is wonderful, but the desert Southwest has quickly become my favorite spot to go. Yeah, that's probably tops for me right now.
Third time's the charm. I'm going to have to go with, of all the places that, Melissa and I have been so far, I'd have to say Utah is probably top, with Arizona a close second. Exactly like Jeff said, you get great views here up in Washington and Oregon, but normally you need to find a nice cliffside campsite to enjoy those views. Or you're up there in the wintertime when most of the leaves have fallen off the trees. Still gorgeous. Like I love the green, mossy, like enchanted enchantment of the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, same.
And that is a beauty in of itself, but for grand sweeping views, you can't beat the Southwest.
Yeah.
You just can't. I would say for all three of us, the Southwest is where it's at.
What's next for you in terms of adventure and exploration?
Christine and I were kind of working on splitting our time between the Northwest and Arizona. Still more in the Northwest than in Arizona, but we have this idea. So it's kind of if it comes to fruition, you heard it here first.
World exclusive, folks, I told you.
This is a couple years in the making probably, but we have this ambition to, once we have some time freedom, which I think we'll have more of in the next couple of years, to take like 4 or 5 months and start a trip from Arizona, work our way over to the coast, go up the West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington, go up into Canada, go up into Alaska, go all the way up to the Arctic, go up to, Prudhoe Bay.
Oh, wow.
Come back down, go east, go through the Canadian Rockies, come down into Glacier National Park, through Montana, through Wyoming, through Yellowstone and the Tetons and all of that, down into Colorado, and then back to Arizona. And the idea behind that is that this would be like, once we're full-time in Arizona, how do we get the hell out of Arizona for the 4 months of summer, right? We got to go somewhere.
Right.
And so we've got this idea to do like a grand adventure. We've never been able to do that. Obviously, that would be like serious bucket list stuff, but
that would be amazing.
If everything goes the way we're hoping and we're planning, part of the reason we got the Tacoma, because it's something that is a little more suited to long-term, travel, a little easier to set up, quicker tear down to be on the road, all that stuff. We'll see if it happens. You'll know in like 2 years, but
right. Mark your calendars.
Yeah, exactly. Now the pressure's on. I said it on camera.
Yeah,
so
I'm going to lock that footage away in a vault somewhere.
Now I gotta do it.
And bring it back 2 years from now and see where Jeff and Christine are at and hold them to it.
How about you?
I would say for us, so the folks who make the BDRs are set to release a Montana BDR here in a couple of weeks. Montana is definitely a place that we want to get over to. I would also say Colorado. We usually try and do like one really big trip a year. So we're trying to figure out, do we want to try out this new Montana BDR when it comes out, or do we want to try and get over to Colorado? We'll have to see. Usually they release a film about it, and then of course I watch it because I'm a research freak, and just kind of see like where in Montana is it, because we want to make it to like Glacier and all that good stuff. I think that's going to kind of maybe determine, do we pick Colorado or Montana for our big trip this year.
How do you balance risk and safety in your adventures?
I think that's a really good question. For us personally, really the old adage, trust your gut, right? We're not afraid to turn down, what appears to be a less traveled forest road. But, if we start getting down that road and, it starts getting a little tight or technical for our setup, don't be afraid to turn around. I can't tell you, and I'm sure you've experienced numerous times, the best laid plans can get cut short just like that. And, you need to be very flexible and just turn around. Don't force it for what? You go out there and just, 10 more feet, and next thing you know, something happens, and was it worth it? I would say for us, it's more of a gut feeling. Like, we're not afraid to try things, but if it starts getting to a point where we're kind of like, I don't know about this, I'm not risking myself or our rig or any of that. So for us, I would say it's mostly gut feeling, and don't be afraid to turn around.
Yeah, I like that. And it's interesting on YouTube because for some creators, they have to push it because that's what their audience wants. And that's what people want to watch. And, it's no surprise that some of those creators get the big views, right? Because they're willing to risk more and they're willing to push it. And I know there are people out there that like, they're into wheeling. They go to some crazy places, do some really cool stuff and all that. But I think you and I are probably a little more similar in the sense that, I'm not going out to break my truck. I'm not the guy who's necessarily going to just bust out the tools and fix whatever on the side of the road. Like I can do some stuff, right? But like I'm not like
exactly.
I'm not going out specifically to break a CVX because I have a spare that I'm going to install on the side of the trail. Like I'm not that guy. But also like if we're solo, if Christine and I are solo, it's a very different. How I plan a trip, where I'll go, what I'll do is very different than if I have another truck or friends with me or things like that. Because I think the best thing you can do from a safety standpoint and a risk mitigation standpoint is have another vehicle with you, right? You get stuck, they can pull you out, you break down, there's somebody else there. Like the risk in my mind just goes up like 2 levels when you're solo. And because of that, I will not go down the same trails that I'll go down if I'm with a group of people. I won't go necessarily as far out into the middle of nowhere solo as I will, you know, if I have a group of people with us. And so I'm always trying to balance that out, because for us, like, it's fun. Like, and fun for us is getting to a really badass campsite with a killer view with nobody else around. That's what we're in it for. So if I can do that, mission accomplished. If that means pushing through things that don't feel right, then I won't do it. I don't have to prove anything to anyone, and it's just not our style. On the other side of things is, like, I get that a lot of people who watch these videos never go out. And that, I think, is a bummer, because it is daunting and it is scary, and it is like, you know, you think about the what ifs, and I'll be honest, like, I think about the what ifs.
Yep.
It gets into my head from time to time, and I question sometimes. I question, like, is what I'm doing, is this too much risk or whatever? But I don't know. I guess I just have the philosophy that, like, there's risk involved in doing anything worth doing in life. And so I think if it's a calculated risk, that's different than just throwing caution to the wind and just maybe going somewhere you shouldn't be, or doing something by yourself that's going to get you in trouble if you're not experienced or prepared for it. I don't know if that answers that question.
I like that. Just to kind of circle back on that too, I don't remember where I heard it. I remember seeing something somewhere about doing dangerous things in a safe way. I personally think that's a great philosophy. So, you know, going out in the middle of the forest, especially like you said, do the dangerous thing, but be safe about it. You know, don't push yourself for what? Like Jeff said, you know, some of these channels, like, that's their whole thing. Like, they push themselves to the limit. And I love watching that stuff. I will never do it, but I love watching it. And, you know, and I'm glad that's what makes them happy. But I would say, you know, overall, don't be afraid to push your limits a little bit. Just do it in a safe way. That's my 2 cents on that.
Yep. You got to expand your comfort zone, but you can do that slowly. I mean, I remember the first year that Christine and I went out, we never went out by ourselves. That seemed like way too daunting of a thing. And then we slowly started going out by ourselves, but we just went down, like, the easiest forest road you could go and found a campsite right off the main road, and, like, okay, got it. And then slowly worked our way up to like, our comfort zone expanded. We're still trying to do things within our limits, but our limits have expanded, and that'll happen over time. So you don't have to watch these YouTube videos and be like, oh, if I'm not doing what they're doing, then I'm not doing it right. No, like, that's bullshit. Like, you just go slowly. You don't have to push yourself. You don't have to go anywhere crazy to have a good time. You really don't. You can find yourself by a beautiful river or a stream or a beautiful campsite in the mountains without ever getting off anything more than what's effectively a dirt road, a gravel road.
Yep. All right, so to avoid this video from being 2 hours long, Radio Chatter Game was nice enough to supply us with one of their decks of questions. The whole premise behind their company is getting people engaged in conversation, especially on those long drives to the trail. When you're driving 3, 4, 5 hours on pavement and it's boring, they thought this would be a good way for everyone to get on their radios and do a Q&A with each other. Whether you're going out with longtime friends or, you know, new friends, this is a great way to get to know things about them or hear stories about their life. So they were kind enough to sponsor this part of the video. We are going to take some of the questions out of their deck and answer them as part of this video. You can either get a full deck of cards. As you see, this is brand new. They're also playing cards. So it's not just another thing to carry. Most of us, I would say, have a deck of cards. So you could sit there and play cards and answer some questions while you're doing so. We're going to mix these all up and we're going to pull some at random. So shout out to Radio Chatter Game for supplying these decks, and stick around after the questions because I got a little special something for all of you guys.
Should I be nervous? Are these going to be like...
I think... So, yeah.
Oh, there's a spicy version.
That being said...
But this isn't the spicy version.
They did send what they call their After Dark questions.
Oh, you have them?
I do have them.
Oh, we should do that one.
And according to Paul, none of these are safe for YouTube. So we can open them and Jeff and I can take a glance at some of them, but my understanding is none of these are safe for YouTube. All right, Jeff, pick a card, any card, and this will be our first question.
What is your next upgrade?
That's actually a really good question. Melissa and I have been talking, you know, I think you can agree your build is never really done. You know, I think it gets to a point where you're like, you know what else do I need? And then of course something else comes out that might make your life better, or maybe you kind of want to change up the way you have adventures. I would say our next upgrade is likely going to be an awning for the Bronco. It is quite often that we just go on day adventures without the trailer, but again, Pacific Northwest for about 8 months out of the year, it's raining. So while it's fun to get out and just do like day exploring, often you stop for lunch or you want to just kind of stop, stretch your legs, and you got to stand out in the pouring rain. So we had been discussing for quite a while, do we want to add some kind of awning to the Bronco? So I think that's going to be our next upgrade.
All right. I just have to point out, I see Melissa's over here reading the spicy questions, and the look on her face is like making me a little bit nervous. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see. We may answer one on camera. We'll see. But you might not be able to hear any of it because it's all bleeped out.
Let's see. What is our next upgrade? I mean, I guess it's a pretty cool sign that I had to think about that because I'm so happy with our setup right now. But there is one upgrade that I do know that we will probably do in 2026, and it's brakes. I think a set of like power brakes is probably in our future just to give us that little extra confidence, especially when we're up on shelf roads in the mountains and things like that. So I think brakes are really just a safety upgrade at this point. But that's the only thing I can think of, honestly. Like this, we're so lucky to have a rig so dialed. But yeah,
I like it. All
right, you draw.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. What do we got? Ooh, okay. I like this one. Would you rather have a scenic journey or a scenic destination?
That's a good question. I'd rather have a scenic destination. I love a good campsite. I really do. I love to get to a scenic campsite, and I love to get there. Like, I'll be honest, man, sometimes we get to camp like noon, 1. And I love that. And that's something like YouTube, you don't really see that all that often or whatever. Like people are like, we're going to grind it out for 200 miles and then we're going to get to camp in the dark. It's not me. I mean, no, if that's you, that's great. Cool. No problem.
In case you didn't know, I'm an old man. That ain't my gig.
No, I love to get to a beautiful spot and set up camp. And I love to just sit and just it's quiet, it's peaceful, it's beautiful. Watch the sunset. Like, so for me, I mean, a beautiful journey is incredible too, but a beautiful destination is, that's my answer.
So I'm going to kind of flip it a little bit on that. I think I'd rather have a scenic journey, only because, especially in this lifestyle of overlanding, you could plan a trip for months and have scenic destinations picked out, but there's no guarantee you're going to get there when you get over there. Mm-hmm. I think for me, the scenic journey, because the destination is not guaranteed.
Wow.
While I would love to be at a cliffside campsite.
Wow, that's deep. Wow, philosopher over here.
Same as Jeff, I love a cliffside campsite where you just see for miles to the horizon, but you may not reach there. You may not get there. To have a scenic journey, at least you still had that experience of, I wasn't driving on pavement 5 hours to get here and now I'm stuck in a mud hole off the side of a well-groomed forest road. So that's my answer. A scenic journey over a scenic destination. All right, should we do one more here and then see if we can test out the spicy ones?
Let's do it. All right. What piece of gear has been the biggest disappointment for you? Ooh, that's a good one.
Ooh, man. Wow, I might have to think about that one for a minute. I got it. I already know it. I would say so far, and I don't know why I haven't gotten rid of it yet, is the high lift jack. And that just goes to show you how you can fall into the trap of what you see on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Because I saw high lift jacks all over the place, and I was like, we're going to need a high lift jack before we go to Utah. If we get a flat tire, we're never changing the tire. That thing, I mounted it on the back of the Bronco, and I took it off to go through the car wash. That's the only time it ever comes off the Bronco. So I would say don't bother with a high lift jack.
Yeah, I was laughing because we carted around a high lift jack for like the first 4 years. We had a mount for it on the Lexus on the roof rack, and the stupid thing was always up there. It's heavy, it's bulky, they're dangerous to use. Yeah, that's not to say like they don't have a use. They have a use, but I mean, if anything, I've expanded the amount of recovery gear that I carry over the years. But that's one that I started with, and I've cut. I don't bring it anymore. Not a fan.
I have had to change my tire once out on the trail, and again, where we go, I have some wood blocks. I used the regular jack and changed the tire. I have yet to ever find a need for it, so that thing's probably coming off the Bronco very soon.
I had an answer for this one right away, and I think this is going to be controversial. I don't think a lot of people are going to agree with me actually on this, but the biggest disappointment that I've ever had from a piece of gear is the stupid, like 4-tire inflator thing. And I don't know if I should call out the brand. There's one brand that everybody has, and I tell you what, I have the same brand. And it's nothing against the brand. It's actually just the way that it works. I bought it because I thought it was gonna save me time. That's why I bought it. I was like, I can air up 4 tires at once. It's gonna be great. And it does not save you it doesn't save you any time. If anything, it takes more time. And I know this because I have been at the end of trails airing up with friends, and I've got the 4-tire tire inflator, and they have one of my buddies is like, he's setting up a chair and sitting there with his he's got the same ARB single compressor that I've got, and he's sitting there holding his little Amazon $50 air up tool hose. He's finished his before me. And then another friend who has a little like Viair air compressor that's going tire to tire, they finished before me. The reason is the amount of time it takes to set the stupid thing up and the amount of time it takes to coil it up. To put it away is a nightmare. I don't do it anymore. I refuse. I make Christine do it. I will not coil up that stupid thing. It is my personal hell. I hate it. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. That thing sucks. Don't get a 4-tire tire inflator. You have one too.
I do have one.
Do you
yes.
like it?
So let me tell you why I like it, and
a lot of
why
people
it might
like
be
it. I know I'm in the
different
minority
from
here.
Jeff. So obviously we have the trailer. Typically when we go, when we're coming back off trail and we need to air back up, I run out the 4 hoses and start the Broncos tires inflating. And I have a little battery powered Milwaukee inflator that I use to reinflate the trailer tires. So by the time I unroll the hoses and get that one started, I go back to the trailer, I get that one started. By the time the trailer, the first tire on the trailer finishes, the Bronco's usually done. So I swap over to the other tire, I roll up the hoses, that tire's done. So for me, the timing works out. You know, to Jeff's point, that works for our setup. But I do hate, my 4-hose thingy is homemade, okay? I do hate the way it coils up. I don't know how you would make it different to do all 4 at once, but if someone invents something that can do all 4 where it's on like a reel and you just, I totally agree with Jeff that rolling it up is the bane of my existence. And I've hit my shins and all kinds of other things so many times when the hose is flopping around. But for now, it works okay for us. And, you know, overall, I don't mind it.
So basically what we've learned here today is that the only way a 4-tire inflator makes sense is if you have to inflate 6 tires.
Right.
You
Which
heard it
they
here
do
first.
make a 6 thing for, and I almost contemplated that, and I'm like, I think my sanity would be pushed to the limits coiling up a 6-tire hose kit. So for now, I think it works for us until I find something better.
Yeah, the issue is, I guess I just don't like coiling shit up.
Yeah. No, I totally get you. I totally get you.
I think the bourbon is kicking in just in time for this.
Just in time for the spicy questions.
Yeah.
So let me take a look at these.
No, she's already
Or
pre-screened them.
do you have one picked out?
She's already pre-screened them. Oh, just
one
get,
about- Yeah, all
let it rip. Let it rip.
Okay, this next segment may or may not even be audible to all of you.
What things can you say about your rig that you can't say about your partner?
She chonky.
Hey, it's looking a little loose in the rear end. What's that rattling noise? Yeah, she's looking a little old there, Jeff.
Old and tired.
Yep, old and tired.
Thank you, Radio Chatter. That was fun.
I mean, this is so cool. And they also have an app in addition to the cards. So if you don't want to carry around a whole nother thing in your rig with cards, they have an app that has all the same OG questions, they call them, the original game. They were awesome enough to give us 2 decks to give away to you guys and 4 free app downloads. So if you want a chance to win either a physical deck or a free download of their app, do me a favor, answer this question down in the comments, and I will pick 6 random winners to receive either a physical deck or an app download. Where is your favorite place to travel in your home state? So answer that question down in the comments. Look for my reply to your comment to know that you've won, and I will have you reach out to me via email. So good luck on winning your very own copy of Radio Chatter Game. And again, thank you so much to them for sponsoring part of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed sitting down with Jeff and I for a Q&A. This is the first one Jeff's ever done. So please watch it and like it, because then maybe he'll do more on his own channel with Christine. We will see you next time. Thanks again, Jeff. I loved it.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Great.
That was a good time. Yeah. Thanks for watching. And if you're still watching, you should leave a comment, because 6 of you are going to win the thing. And so if there's like 6 comments, that's going to be really, really sad. So,
yeah.
You know, but like let's just say you got a lot better chance of winning that than you got winning the lottery. So you should probably do that. And you can win some today. So probably go ahead and answer that question right now. Do it right now, down below.
Right now in the comments.
Bye.
Bye.